He thought she was invisible. He thought the woman cleaning the scuff marks off his Italian leather shoes was nothing more than trash. What Marcus Sterling didn't know was that the nobody holding the mop held the key to his freedom, and the man about to walk through that door wasn't coming to shake his hand. He was coming to put him in cuffs. This is the story of how a powerful CEO learned that dignity isn't defined by a paycheck, and that sometimes the person you step on is the mother of the man who takes you down. Before we dive into this interesting story, kindly tell us where you are watching from in the comments. Subscribe to this channel and hit the like button for more interesting stories like this. It happened on a Tuesday morning at the Sterling and Associates law firm. The lobby was silent, except for the rhythmic sound of a mop. 58-year-old Elena was finishing her third shift. She was tired. Her back ached. But she was smiling because today was a special day. Today, her son was coming to visit. But Elena made a mistake. A tiny, insignificant mistake. As Marcus Sterling, the firm's senior partner, stormed through the lobby on his phone, he didn't see the wet floor sign. He slipped barely an inch, but it was enough to scuff his shoe. The silence of the lobby was shattered. "Are you blind?" Marcus screamed, his voice echoing off the marble walls. He didn't just yell, he performed. He looked around at the receptionists, the junior associates, ensuring he had an audience. He pointed a finger inches from Elena's face. "Do you know how much these cost? More than you make in a year. Get on your knees and clean it. Now." Elena froze. The humiliation burned her cheeks. She gripped her mop handle, her knuckles turning white. Marcus thought he had won. He saw the tears in her eyes and smirked. But he didn't notice the security camera blinking red directly above his head or the text message Elena had just sent 3 minutes ago. The entire lobby watched in horror, but nobody moved. This is the bystander effect in full force. They were terrified of Marcus. He was a man who destroyed careers for sport. Elena lowered herself slowly, not because she had no pride, but because she needed this job. She had bills. She had a family. With a trembling hand, she reached for a rag to wipe the shoe. "Pathetic," Marcus sneered, kicking the rag away just as she reached for it. "Actually, don't touch me. You'll probably infect me with poverty." He turned to the head of security, a man named Carl, who looked uncomfortable. "Carl, get this trash out of my building. Fire her. And make sure she doesn't steal any staplers on the way out." Carl hesitated. He knew Elena. He knew she brought homemade cookies for the night shift. "Mr. Sterling, it was an accident." "Did I stutter?" Marcus roared. "Fire her or you're next." Elena stood up. The tears were gone now. Something else had replaced them. A quiet, simmering resolve. She looked Marcus Sterling dead in the eye, something no one ever dared to do. "You can fire me," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "But you cannot shame me. I work honest labor. Can you say the same?" The room went deathly silent. Marcus's face turned a shade of purple rarely seen in nature. He stepped forward, raising his hand as if to strike her. But then the elevator dinged. The doors to the executive elevator slid open. But it wasn't a client. It wasn't a delivery. The sound of heavy, tactical boots hit the marble floor. Thud, thud, thud. Marcus spun around, annoyed at the interruption. "Who the hell is?" His voice died in his throat. Standing in the elevator doorway was a man who looked like he was carved out of granite. He was wearing the full tactical uniform of the city's major crimes unit. On his chest, a badge gleamed under the lobby lights. Lieutenant. But he wasn't alone. Behind him were 2 other officers. Marcus, instantly switching masks, put on his charming CEO smile. "Ah, officers. Finally. I assume you're here about the homeless problem outside? I was just dealing with some internal refuse myself." He gestured dismissively at Elena. The lieutenant didn't blink. He didn't smile. He walked right past Marcus, ignoring his outstretched hand. The tension in the room was thick enough to choke on. Every eye was glued to the lieutenant as he walked straight toward the janitor. Marcus laughed nervously. "Officer, she's just the help. The person you want to talk to is me." The lieutenant stopped. He stood inches from Elena. The room held its breath. Was he going to arrest her? Had Marcus framed her for something? The lieutenant slowly reached out his hand toward the janitor. Marcus smirked, expecting handcuffs. Instead, the lieutenant gently took the mop from her hands and set it against the wall. "Hi, Mom," the lieutenant said. The words hit the lobby like a bomb. Marcus Sterling's smile vanished. His skin went pale. "Mom," he whispered. Elena looked at her son, Lieutenant David Rodriguez. She smoothed out the collar of his tactical vest. "You're early, Mijo." "I was in the neighborhood," David said, his voice deep and calm. But his eyes were locked on Marcus Sterling with the intensity of a predator watching prey. "I heard there was a disturbance. Something about trash being in the building." Marcus stammered. He tried to backpedal, but his heels hit the reception desk. "Now hold on. Lieutenant. David. I didn't know, obviously. If I knew she was the mother of a hero." "Stop," David said. He didn't shout. He didn't have to. The command cracked through the air like a whip. David turned fully to face Marcus. He stepped closer, towering over the CEO. "You think because she holds a mop, she's beneath you? You think because she cleans your mud, she doesn't have dignity?" David reached into his tactical vest. For a second, Marcus flinched, thinking it was a weapon. It was a piece of paper. A warrant. "You see, Mr. Sterling," David continued, "my mother isn't just a janitor. She's observant. She's the one who empties your shredder bins. She's the one who noticed that you've been shredding subpoenaed financial documents for the last 3 weeks." The color drained from Marcus's face. He looked at Elena. She wasn't looking at the floor anymore. She was looking at him with pity. "She called the tip line 2 days ago," David said, handing the warrant to Marcus. "We've been building the case. But I wanted the honor of serving this personally." David nodded to the officers behind him. "Marcus Sterling, you are under arrest for embezzlement, obstruction of justice, and fraud." As the officers spun Marcus around and clicked the handcuffs onto his wrists, the same wrists that wore the expensive watch he had bragged about, the entire lobby erupted. Not in applause, but in whispers of shock. The man who thought he was a king was being dragged out past the woman he treated like a peasant. As they walked him to the door, David stopped. He turned back to his mother. "Are you ready for lunch, Mom?" Elena untied her apron. She folded it neatly and placed it on the reception desk. "Yes, Mijo. I'm ready." Marcus was shoved into the back of a squad car, his reputation destroyed, his career over. Elena walked out the front doors, arm in arm with her son, her head held high. In a world obsessed with status, titles, and wealth, it is easy to forget the most basic truth. Character is how you treat those who can do nothing for you. Marcus Sterling saw a uniform and assumed weakness. He saw a mop and assumed stupidity. But he forgot that the eyes that clean the floor see everything. He forgot that every person you pass has a story, a family, and a strength you know nothing about. Never look down on someone unless you are helping them up, because you never know when the person you shamed will be the one holding the keys to your fate. Welcome to Justice Scope. If this story moved you, share it. Let's make sure the world knows that dignity is not for sale.